Vivillon is a beautiful bug and flying type Pokemon that has 20 unique patterns. 19 of these patterns are available in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Last year, I decided to try and catch every pattern shiny to add to my living Shiny Dex, but I had a hard time finding a good guide online for how to properly do it. So after some trial and error and catching every single shiny Vivillon pattern, I made one myself. You can skip ahead to the timestamp to watch the guide. I'll also link my infographic in the description if that's easier for you. Before I go into the details of how to catch these vibrant butterflies, I wanted to share my thoughts about Pokemon number 666. Do they have a deep, dark, evil secret? Well, probably not. But what's the inspiration behind the patterns? Why is the Pokeball pattern being held hostage from its fans? And where the heck is the shiny? Let's talk about Vivillon, my favorite bug-type Pokemon. Even though Vivillon is number 666 in the National Dex, it doesn't seem to have any relation to the number of the beast. In fact, it's such a beautiful Pokemon that Game Freak decided to just keep making different variations. Most of the Vivillon patterns are based on different climates, weather, or specific areas of nature, such as the lovely meadow, this chilly tundra pattern, monsoon with its clouds and rain, and the rich browns and greens in the jungle pattern. A few patterns mimic the look of flowers, like garden, fancy, and elegant. There are sort of two outliers for the nature themes. First off, there's modern, with its primary colors reminiscent of the Dutch modern art movement known as de stijl. Second is the infamous Pokeball pattern. The Pokeball pattern has only ever been available via special events in the X and Y era. Back in 2014, the pattern debuted as a Pokemon Center Paris special distribution. This event distribution was shiny locked, as each Vivillon received would be exactly the same. Later that year, there were a few more distributions, including one in America, via Pokemon Center Online, but it was only for a week. It had one final distribution 2 years later in 2016 at Pokemon Center Hiroshima for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Since then, there has been no legitimate way to obtain the Pokeball pattern Vivillon in a mainline Pokemon game, and they still haven't released the shiny. I'm really hoping that since Pokemon Legends ZA takes place in Kalos, Vivillon's home region, that we get another chance at the Pokeball pattern soon, and who knows, maybe they'll even release the shiny, if we're lucky. In fact, another Vivillon pattern that used to be just as elusive, the Fancy pattern, is now the default Vivillon pattern for Gen 9 games. So, who knows, we might get the Pokeball, or even a new pattern. Now let's talk about the name, Vivillon. Vivillon? No, it's definitely Vivillon.
Let's do this, Vivillon!
A Vivillon. It's so, French. As I said earlier, Vivillon is from Kalos, the region based on France, with Lumiose City and Prism Tower representing Paris and the Eiffel Tower. There's a bit of speculation about the origin of the name itself, but it's pretty clear that the inspiration comes from the French word papillon, meaning butterfly. Please forgive my French pronunciation. The viv in Vivillon could come from the French adjective vif, which has many meanings, some of which are vivid, lively, and colorful. So, there you go. Vif and papillon give you the vivid butterfly Vivillon.
There you go.
These lively bug-type Pokemon are quite obviously inspired by real-life butterflies. But while researching for this video, I was surprised to find out that there are over 18,700 species of butterflies out there. I mean, that's wild. For the sake of my shiny living Dex, I am so glad that we only have 20 forms of Vivillon. Butterflies' unique wings are what's known as polymorphism, or the occurrence of different forms amongst the members of a population or colony, or in the life cycle of an individual organism. Unique visual traits like these can form from evolutionary tactics to hide from predators or even mimic other creatures and plants. Nature is pretty cool. This is why I love Vivillon so much. It just feels so real to me. Like I could walk into a natural history museum and it would be on display in one of those gross little bug box thingies with the little pins. Ugh. Kind of like these gorgeous Japanese exclusive pins. Oh my gosh, they are beautiful. Well, that's enough linguistics and biology for today. Let's talk about my personal experience with Vivillon. My introduction to Vivillon was actually not through a mainline Pokemon game, but through Pokemon Go. In Pokemon Go, you can add friends from all over the world, and as you add friends, you can also send and receive gifts from them. These are obtained by spinning Pokestops as you walk around while playing. When you send a gift, it also sends a postcard with the picture and location of the Pokestop that you got it from. You have the option of pinning these postcards to your scrapbook. After pinning 3 postcards from a specific region, you'll unlock an encounter for that region's special pattern of Vivillon, although you do have to catch it as a scatterbug and evolve it all the way up. This all leads to the very confusing and overly complicated Vivillon World Map. Dude, this thing is rough. The official map shows a very vague example of where each pattern appears throughout the world, and in all honesty, this is not really helpful, as the real-life borders for the patterns are like really specific. So I like to use this map, which utilizes data from players from all around the world and shows what patterns come from where. I'll link to this in the description as well. I can't necessarily tell you the best way to make friends all over the world, but there are subreddits, forums, or even websites like LeakDuck to help find people from specific regions all around the world. That's how I managed to get my friends from every region. When I initially got the shiny fancy pattern Vivillon in Pokemon Violet, I just added it to my living Shiny Dex and moved along. But as the number of shinies that I could catch in Scarlet and Violet dwindled down, I needed something new to hunt in the game. So I made the ambitious decision to catch all of the shiny patterns. This process takes a minimum of 19 days, as you can only send 1 postcard from Pokemon Go to your Nintendo Switch each day. So back in the winter of 2024, I started a sort of morning ritual. First thing in the morning, I would wake up and go out on my Pokemon Go walk. I was on the grind for level 50. So sun or snow, I was out walking. At the time, I lived around a nature preserve, so I'd take the trail a few miles down and back. Hatching eggs, spinning stops, catching Pokemon, and of course, very importantly, pinning postcards from my friends. It was like adventuring on my own Pokemon route. So much, in fact, that I finished enough routes to get my Zygarde to 100% form. So I was walking along, came down from there, and I saw this big old stick across. Turns out it's an entire tree. Just fully broke off of its stump here. I gotta move this. No one's gonna be able to get past that. So, I think actually this would be the easier side to move. There were gusts of wind up to 60 miles an hour last night, apparently. Maybe it was 50? I don't remember. It was high. I gotta move all this. Someone on their bike, not be able to make it. So I'm gonna see what I can do. I'll be right back. Okay. Well, this is a part of the path that like nobody comes on. It's like really far out of the way. But there's the whole tree. It's huge and I did it. I got some scratches and I'm all dirty and I got like whipped in the face a couple times, but I did it. Ouch. There are like 4 or 5 horned owls calling back and forth at each other. One of them staring me down right now. if you can hear it. They're calling back and forth.
It's knocked out.
My morning routine would continue each day with a nice shower and then a hot cup of coffee. I'd settle down at my desk and get hunting for a shiny Vivillon. Each day, I would send a new postcard to my Switch and start the hunt. I'm a creature of habit, so this morning routine was just a great way for me to start my day. I honestly think that this mindset is what made me start liking Vivillon so much. I'd wake up each day, spend some time in nature, and then come home and shiny hunt a Pokemon so closely related to nature. It just felt great. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to show off my shinies. We've got Continental, Sun, Modern, Meadow, Elegant, Marine, Savannah, Polar, Monsoon, Tundra, Icy Snow, Fancy, Garden, Jungle, Sandstorm, River, High Plains, Archipelago, and my absolute favorite, Ocean. Let me know your favorite pattern in the comments. And while I'm showing off, I might as well highlight that my Archipelago pattern shiny also has the rare mark, which even with sparkling in title level 3, shiny charm, mark charm, and an outbreak, is a 1 in 85,403 chance. That's pretty wild if you ask me. Alright, let me walk you through how I hunted every shiny Vivillon pattern in Pokemon Violet. I would like to point out some of the details in this are really specific, and that's just because they worked for me. If you find a way that suits you better, by all means, do it that way. The times I use in here are simply to avoid the clock running out and losing out on your pattern, as your Vivillon revert back to Fancy pattern 24 hours after sending the postcard. And you can only send one postcard to your Switch each day. And each postcard can only be sent to your Switch one time. So it's best to take the precautions. Especially for those postcards that are harder to come by, like Sun or Ocean. Now, as a reminder, I have the infographic linked in the description of the video for reference. So step 1 is to set your Switch's time to 1 a.m. Then, send your desired postcard from Pokemon Go to your Switch via Pokeportal. If you have not connected your Pokemon Go to your Switch before, in Pokemon Go, select Settings, Connected Devices and Services, Nintendo Switch. On this screen, you'll select Connect to Nintendo Switch. Now on your Switch, go into Pokeportal, select Mystery Gift, and then Connect to Pokemon Go. Select Pair with a Pokemon Go account, and your phone and Switch should connect pretty quickly. Stay on this screen in the Pokeportal, and in Pokemon Go, head to your scrapbook, where your postcards are pinned, and select the one you would like to send to your Switch. As long as you're connected, it should show the option Send to Nintendo Switch. Once that's set, travel to the lighthouse at North Province Area 3, right at the north part of the map. Now walk around to the east to confirm that the new pattern of Vivillon have begun to spawn. You should see one pretty quick. Once confirmed, set your Switch's time ahead to 9:55 a.m. on the same day. Do not change the date, only the time. Now, save your game. Start a picnic and make a sparkling Tidal Encounter Level 3 Bug-type sandwich. There's a lot of recipes out there, but I just usually do 1 potato salad, 1 salty herba, and 1 spicy herba. Now open your map and begin resetting for mass outbreaks. This can be done by having the map open and then changing your Switch's clock back in 1-minute increments. It's important to use this method and not changing the day, because that will make your Vivillon revert back to a fancy pattern. Change the time and check the map again until you get a Vivillon outbreak in the general area. I got really lucky on this one and it only took 2 resets. Note that if this is your first time catching this particular pattern, the outbreak will show as a red question mark. Once you have the outbreak, take out 60 of the Vivillon until you see the message, "There aren't many Vivillon left from the original outbreak." Then you can just picnic to reset spawns, or run around until you find your shiny and your sandwich runs out. If you don't get a shiny, just reload and make the sandwich again. Is that... Yes, hello, beautiful. Wow, that was like... immediate? And it's marked. It's probably the freaking uncommon mark. Let's catch it. Pretty. Wait, another one? It's been like 2 minutes. Oh my god, there are so many. Okay. Nice. Wow. Come on. Yep. Gotcha. I hunted all of these back on the regular Switch, but let me just say, hunting on the Switch 2 is pretty wild. There are just so many spawns, but good luck out there. Vivillon may seem like a throwaway, simple Pokemon design to some people, but to me, it's truly the best bug-type Pokemon that Game Freak has ever made. With its connection to nature, the different patterns, my memories of shiny hunting, and the fact that it really is just one of the prettiest Pokemon out there, Vivillon really is a beast. I guess it lives up to being Dex number 666. Huh. From writing this, we're just 2 weeks out from the release of Pokemon Legends ZA, and I am so excited to see Vivillon in another new game on the Switch and discover a whole new way of shiny hunting. We'll be playing Legends ZA on Twitch on release day, so check us out over there if you'd like. Subscribe if you'd like to follow along here on YouTube. Be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, and make the world a better place. Don't get lost out there. I'll see you guys next time.